Marriage is about love. Divorce is about money. Without the right guidance, critical mistakes can have lasting financial consequences. That is where I come in. My name is Gabriella Martinelli, founder at Ever After Wealth. As a Certified Divorce Financial Analyst, I provide my clients financial clarity, strategic divorce planning, and long-term stability. On this podcast, I am sharing what you need to know about getting through a divorce, protecting your legacy, growing your wealth and assets post-divorce, and figuring it out what you really want in this next stage of life. Let's get started. Divorce is not just a legal process. It is an emotional, financial, often deeply disorienting experience. Today, I'm speaking with Colleen Odegaard, someone who lived through a long, complex divorce that changed her life in ways she never expected. She's sharing what she wishes she had known sooner and what she hopes other women can learn from her story. This is not about blame, it is about clarity. And it is about understanding how the professionals you choose and the timing of that support can shape your future. Let's get started. Hi, Colleen. I'm so excited to have you here today.
Thank you so much. I'm honored that you would ask me to be a guest on your show. So thank you for having me.
Yes. So glad you say yes, because we're going to be talking about things that are very intimate and vulnerable. The divorce experience, I went through that experience as well. And I know how difficult it is and overwhelming. And putting it out there for everyone and trying to help individuals, I know is not an easy thing to do. Not everybody will be willing to do it. So I am very, very happy and glad that you accepted my invitation.
Of course.
So do you want to start telling us a little bit, 10,000 feet degree, what your experience looked like when you went through this process?
Sure. I had been married for 21 years and we had many happy years. I never thought I would be a divorced person ever. It's still sometimes shocking to me. Yeah. And towards the end, when things were getting really difficult, we were fighting. There was a lot of tension. It was during COVID, and we just had so much tension between us. We were going to therapy. I thought we were working on the marriage. And then one Monday morning, when he's leaving for work, he was deemed an essential employee and was going into the office. He said, I want a divorce. I'll be moving out. We'll tell the boys later tonight. And I said, what? What are you talking about? No. And I flat out didn't accept it. I said, this is not happening. You are not leaving. You're not tearing this family apart. No, you're not. So it was shocking to me. It was very shocking to me. And because of that, I was so disoriented and I was so depressed and I was so angry and I was so scared and I didn't know what to do. I didn't even know the first step to take, what that looked like. And because it took me a while to accept it was actually happening, right. I wasn't thinking about money and I wasn't thinking about division of assets and I wasn't thinking about any of those things because I was saying, over my dead body, is this going to happen?
Yeah. And I think it is heartbreaking at the same time because we are holding on to this hope of this life that we created, right? Or the hope that the life, what is going to look like within the years. And even if we see that happening, right, we don't want to accept that it's happening. But when it becomes a reality, when one of the spouses says, this is it, I'm done, your world literally crashes. And I totally understand the part of what do I do? With what I do with people, I work with their finances. Nobody wants to talk to me at that time. Everyone is going through the motions. They don't want to accept it. He is not going to do that to me. Things are going to come back to normal. The first decisions you make when you're going through this process shapes the whole process most of the time. So I can see how, yes, nobody wants to think about that this is really happening. And in your case, I know you have a son and you have a home that is literally breaking into pieces. So what do you do? Who do you call? Who was your first call, Colleen? When you
my best friend. My best friend, Nicole. That was my first call. I mean, when I tell you,
yes,
what you just said that nobody wants to talk to you in the beginning.
No,
I would never have spoken to you in that moment.
Of course.
Never.
Yeah.
I can look back now and go, okay, I needed to get my act together. I mean,
that's easy to do.
Really, I needed to accept the words that he was saying. I needed to accept my marriage is over. And it took me a while to get there. What we resist persists. I think I created so much more suffering for myself because I wouldn't radically accept that I was going to be getting a divorce. So that was mistake number one. I just needed to say, okay, heard, got it, still have all the emotions. But I was so emotional. I could not even have rational discussions at that time. So, really it was calling my friends. I didn't even think about an attorney. I didn't think about anything. Then I talked to some other friends who'd been through the process, and they're telling me, oh, you need to get somebody to look into your finances. What do they call that? With
the forensic accountant?
That.
Oh God.
Yeah. And I said, why? No. Like, why do I do? I don't need that. I mean, I don't think he's stealing money from me or hiding money or anything like that. I can't imagine that he would do that. So I really was paralyzed. There's no real playbook for what you're supposed to do. So it was leaning on friends in the early stages.
Right. And how do you get to have a team? Who was the attorney? Did you call an attorney, or you were forced to call an attorney because of his actions? How did that happen?
I called an attorney. So we were trying to use a mediator. And because somebody said, oh, I know this Christian mediator and y'all should go to her and she's real sweet and it'll be really great. And I was like, okay. So we go to this Christian mediator and she's saying, well, what do you think? And what do you think? And we're in the room and I'm going, I don't know, because I haven't done this before. Does this seem right to you? I was kind of leaning on her for her guidance or expertise. And it turned out that was way off. And he and I we just were not getting anywhere. He didn't want to part with anything, and
of course
he just thought I would go on my merry little way and do my job and be fine. And he would go on and do his thing and be fine. And, it doesn't work that way. So we tried the mediator and because someone recommended, and then I called an attorney because I thought it was a wise thing to do. Even though he and I, my ex-husband and I, had agreed to try to work things out through mediation, I thought maybe I should just have an attorney on retainer in case. And the in case came about and I needed one.
Yeah. And I'm glad you did. And I think a lot of the times that happens, the one spouse is pushing for mediation a lot of the times. It's like, let's do this between ourselves, and we don't want to pay the attorney. We don't want to pay any other professionals. We don't want to spend the money. Let's do it. And because they think that is the way it's going to go. Like they're going to be able to say, oh, we're going to do this, that, and we move forward and it's all done. And in reality, I think mediation works, but you cannot go to mediation without information. That is my key. You need to have information before you go to mediation. So did he have an attorney? You had an attorney. Did that increase the conflict? Did things get a little bit more complicated, if you will, when you decided to talk to an attorney and maybe realize that things were not as simple as he wanted to pose them, or like you thought they could go, right? The realities of the complexity started kind of sitting in.
Yes, I would say, yes, that did happen. My ex-husband certainly didn't like that I'd retained an attorney. He did not like that I had representation. And then so that increased the conflict because he said, I thought we were agreeing to do this through mediation. We weren't going to give our money to lawyers. I said, well, I just don't know that what you're proposing is fair. And I don't know. I just need somebody to be looking out for my best interests. Right. And, he kept trying to say to me, but he was a chronic liar. And I didn't totally know it at the time. Right. So he said, I would never screw you over, and this, and I would never do that to you. Well, I also didn't know about his extracurricular activities with another woman. I didn't know about that either at that time. So even in that, my inclination was to believe him.
Right. Yeah.
Which might sound naive to some listeners. It might sound stupid. I don't blame myself for that anymore. Initially, I did think how stupid could I be? How could I not see it? You're leaving at 4:00 in the morning and getting home at 11:30 at night. Gee, no, he's just working really hard. He's not having an affair. But I can joke about it now. But at the time, I just believed my husband because I wanted to. I think it was just easier to believe him. And I had for so long. So it did increase the conflict. But then it also did provide some protection for me because I didn't want to talk to him. He would text me and say, "What do you think of this?" I just call my lawyer because I don't know. I'm trying to just like make a sandwich and take a shower and do the most basic things. I don't know the answer to this.
Yes.
So in some ways it increased the conflict, but it also did provide me a layer of protection from having to get into heated conversations with my ex.
Right. And by the way, I want to touch on something because definitely there should not be any guilt into trusting your spouse. Trusting your spouse is the right thing to do, right? You're trusting that your spouse will do the right thing. Mm-hmm. So, and in my line of work, a lot of the times the clients say that stuff to me. He's like, I am so stupid. I don't like to say that word, but they say that. They call themselves. So I should have known. I should have known what the money was. I shouldn't have known. Not really. Because you were in this partnership, everyone had a role, and in your heart, you trusted that they were doing the right thing. And that is the right thing to do. You can go through life, right, in a relationship, mistrusting everything that your partner is doing or saying.
Can you imagine how exhausting that would
can.
be?
Like, that's not a true relationship, right? And of course, yes, you can come back and say, well, I didn't have an honest relationship, but that's okay. At that time, you thought you did. So you acted based on that information, right? So when you're going through this process, you start uncovering things. It is okay. It's just you're not silly because you didn't know them. Like now you're uncovering. And I think whatever made you go to an attorney probably was something great for you because you needed the answers. And I think that is once the emotions start settling in, you really start thinking about things a little bit more and maybe seeing a little bit of that crack that you didn't see before. And you're like, wait, there's something, the paint is not that great here. Maybe we need to look into that. And like you said, you are going through these emotions. The last thing you want to do is think about those things. Go dig into documents or ask the questions. You're exhausted. You are literally emotionally exhausted. So you work with your attorney. Was there anybody else in your team, your divorce team?
No.
So you don't work with a coach or a therapist or anything? It was just you trying to go through the motions?
I went to therapy. I was seeing my therapist.
Good. Okay.
Yes, just to process the emotional.
Does that probably help? Yeah.
And that helped me very much, yes. And, and my therapist did give me some counsel too as it pertained to the divorce. So I guess, you could say I had a therapist as well. But
right. Yeah. And they will help you to communication. Communication is the biggest part. Like you can communicate with someone that is doing something or telling you to do something that you clearly may not be in your best interest. A lot of the times my clients say to me, no, he told me he's going to do the right thing. And I'm like, oh, he told you, okay, go and ask him for this piece of document. And if he gives you this document, then we know that he's trying to do the right thing. But let's see his reaction. Because everything is amicable while you don't ask any questions. And amicable doesn't mean don't ask questions. Amicable is like, let's try to find a resolution, but let's put everything on the table, right?
Yes. Oh, for sure. Yes. And he didn't want to provide anything.
Of course not.
He didn't want to provide a thing. It was even things like I was, thinking back going, I remember when he opened that credit card. My ex-husband was very anti-credit cards. He said, use the debit card for everything. I don't want us having any credit card debt. Don't use a credit card. I'd say, okay, we'll just use debit cards. And then one day he gets a credit card and he gives me one and he says, yeah, I got this credit card. I said, what? He goes, just start putting everything on here. I said, why? What? You hate credit cards. Well, I was talking to the CFO at my company and he says it's really great because, you get points and the points are fine. And I said, okay, fine. It was strange, but I didn't think much of it. Okay. It wasn't until after we split, when I tried to log into that account, I had no access to it. I never did. I was a user on the account, but I never had access to it because that was the card he was using to, take his little girly friend out and hotel rooms and God knows what else. And and I just, again, thinking that I'm so stupid. But again, in the moment, it seemed to make sense to me. Everything seemed plausible. Right. He could explain his way out of everything. But so then thinking about the credit card going, that, what's on there? what did he spend? And how much of that, that's my money too. He's taking a woman out on my
Yes.
dime as well at that time. And I had no idea. So then I started to realize there is more to uncover. And if he could do that, what else is he doing? What else is he doing? Later come to find out he'd made some financial decisions that he left me out of. So to this day, I'm not convinced that he didn't. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know the answer.
Yeah.
As to whether he hid money or did anything else untoward.
And that is part of the financial part, right? Like the financial decisions you're making during this process, on top of the emotions, trying to uncover new information, because as you uncover information, very little information about the money he's spending with somebody else, even though that's the tip of the iceberg, that is not just based on, it's just a financial thing you find out. You have the emotions attached with him spending your money, right? But at the same time, you have an attorney that is telling you, well, you had to make these decisions anyway. And you have to make, so the financial portion, I know that is very overwhelming for everyone. Walk me a little bit, how did you live through that? Because I know you didn't have someone like me at the time. Do you know that someone like me, a certified divorce financial analyst, existed?
I never knew that someone like you existed, Gabriella. I mean, I never knew. No, I was not familiar with the term. Nobody suggested that to me. I had no idea.
Do you bring to your attorney these financial issues? Do you have any conversations about the financial issues that were coming up, or your doubts, like the doubts of like, okay, if he did this, are we going to do tracing? Are we going to go back in time? Are you going to ask for things? Did you ever had those conversations, particularly just about that with your attorney?
No, I did not.
You did not?
No.
But you had to make those decisions anyway.
Yes. I mean, even now, 2 years removed, I can go, God, that was pretty, right? I needed, I wasn't in the emotional place where I am today as we sit here and talk.
That's true.
But I remember people, my therapist too, saying, I know you don't want to deal with the money. I know you don't want to talk about this, but you have to for your future self. And I would say, I don't care about the money. I didn't even want to deal with it. I was just like, whatever happens, happens. I don't care. Everybody leave me alone. But that was sound advice. Yes, I needed to pay attention. I needed to pick myself up as much as I didn't like it and pay attention. And I regret that I did not. I regret that I didn't know someone like you existed who would have held my hand through the thing and I thought my attorney was going to do that.
Okay.
And is it not? I mean,
right.
That's what I believed.
Well, I will tell, my answer is no, is not.
Okay. Yeah.
So the answer is no. The answer is an attorney is a legal expert. The attorney knows everything there is to know about the law. And some of them don't know it even. But I don't want to get into that. I worked for the attorneys for 15 years before doing this. So I kind of know attorneys. Like I see them and I'm like, oh, yeah, I see you. But they're not financial experts. And this is one of the reasons I'm doing what I'm doing. Is because when I work for these attorneys that are very big firms in Charlotte that handle very, very high net worth cases, complicated financial cases, I was sitting there with the attorneys and the client, and I could tell clients did not understand anything that was being said to them on the financial side. And attorneys couldn't explain it either because they don't know. And I know that attorneys tend to say, oh, I've done this for 25 years, 30 years. I know the complexities of the financial side of divorce. No, really. You know of financial items, you know the divisions, but you don't understand the core of how these different assets work, the consequences of dividing it, the ability or not of divide an asset, right? Because that's another part of this. So that's the reason why I went on to the financial side, because I realized there was a lack of knowledge on the attorney, which is everyone. And by the way, everyone does that. And I always say, what is the first thing someone tells you when you say, we're separated, he left or I left? What is the first thing they said?
Get an attorney.
Get an attorney. Yeah. And my thing is like, no, unless there's abuse, unless there's somebody took off with the kids, those type of situations, you don't need an attorney. You actually need someone like me. Because, and I know this is past time, but I would like to kind of present this a little bit, because I would like for those that are hearing what we're talking about could understand, and not trying to make you feel any type of way about this. But in reality, I will tell you, if you have called me, there was gonna be a lot of clarity, because first I was gonna I will ask the right questions. I will ask for the right documents. I will show you what I'm talking about. So even though you had to make decisions that you didn't want to, while you're going through the pain and the overwhelm, you will have someone that could put it so clear for you that the solutions and the decisions will come very easy, because you didn't have to think about it.
Yes, that would have been invaluable to me to have had that, because
Exactly.
I did not. Sometimes I'd be talking to my attorney and I'd say, well, what does that really mean? I don't understand. I don't know. What do you think? Okay, let's do that. I didn't have clarity. And I'm not saying it's the fault of my attorney
Of
or
course
anything
not.
like that. I'm just saying that maybe I wasn't asking the right questions. But to have somebody say, here's what you should know about this,
Right.
about the 401k. And this is what
Yeah. And
what
how
do
do
you
it
think?
look like? Because
Mhm.
that's the other part. It's like, this is how whatever you have to be divided looks like. So let's talk about my big thing is usually talking to my clients is like, what do you want? Because it's important to have some kind of understanding of where are you going? That life is gone. You need to create a new life. You're dealing with the emotions. How do you know what you need? Do you need cash? Because that's one of the questions. A lot of my clients sometimes need liquidity. Well, where are we going to get it from? That's what we need to figure out. And it's not you doing the work. I will do the work and show you the options, which makes it much simpler to you or to my client. And honestly, the attorneys do the best they can, because also the attorneys cannot tell you what to do, right? The attorneys present things to you without the deep in analysis. And they're like, well, I mean, he's offering you all this money. It seems good money to me. How do you know? Like, if it's good money to you? That is one of the hardest part.
Yeah, I would have loved to have had someone like you in my corner. I think it would have been a game changer for me, really. I do think I walked away from money and I didn't necessarily make the best decisions. And, I have radically accepted that, because that is where I am now. But things could have looked very different for me.
You made the best decisions with the information you had. And I think that's all it is. There's just a limit of what we can do when we make decisions. It's just based on the information we have. If you don't have the information, you're not going to make better decisions. Those were the best decisions you could have made. Now, we could have improved potentially if you had more information, because more likely I would have asked for more stuff, right? Because if I go do a tracing in a credit card and I see some shady, expenses, I want to be like, okay, let's keep digging. We need to go back in time a little bit longer and let's see what else is out there, which a lot of the times it doesn't happen. And then there's also, what about support? What about understanding the income of this person? Because a lot of the times, this is the income, but you had to dig a little deeper. And there's a lot of things and sometimes I actually have these conversations with attorneys. They show me a pay stub. He's like, oh, well, this is the income. And I'm like, well, no, because these 3 things you have here, that's actually income. And they're like, wait a minute, because you're looking at the 80 hours for the 2 weeks.
Right. Right. And this is the income. And this is
and the other one is the taxes. Because they're like, no, but look at all the money he's taking, he's being withheld from taxes. Like, yeah, but he's withholding more than he needs to withhold. That's not his real tax liability. Let's do the calculations, because everyone does that, right? We all do that in our pay stub. Like, let's take as much as you can, because when I file my taxes, I want to get a refund.
Right.
Well, that's not tax liability. That is actually, you're taking money from your income. Is almost like you're saving.
Yeah.
Because you're getting it on your return. But when you do those calculations and everyone goes by the paycheck doesn't tell you what your taxes are, your tax liability. You had to really go dig into your tax liability.
None of this was talked about or looked at all.
And yes. And that is one of my biggest issues with all this, right? Because I talked to you, again, and I know that, and I think it happened when I talked to you the first time and I told you what I did. And you're like, oh my God, I needed you a few years ago.
Mhm.
Everyone says that.
Yeah.
So one of my biggest missions is telling everyone that I exist and they should call me and why and the reasons. So, but I want to ask you something go a little deeper, because I know that you will have a thought or an opinion here. And this is something that I run into my business a lot. I work with a lot of business owners and physicians. Yet, when a woman owns a business going through this process and they talk to me and I explain to them how I can help them, they still think I'm at an expense and they think they don't deserve it. And we're talking not just about an individual that is being home for the next 20 years. I have those issues with them too. And I also have issues with women that are out there, in the workforce, and they're running businesses. They're very, very successful and smart and intelligent. And they still believe that I am an expense and not an investment, and they can do it. And by the way, I don't get that from my male clients. My male clients, the moment that I explain to them what I can do for them, help them, they're like, where do I sign? Some of them don't even ask me what my fee is. But all women do, and they all have an issue. And it's not because of the fee, it's not the money. And I understand, because we're talking about a lot of the times people that have the money, if you will, the financial recourse to hire me. Is something in us that tells them, I don't know if I need this. I don't know if I want to spend this. It's going to get too expensive. He's going to get upset. Let me talk to my attorney.
Is that the pushback you get from people, from female
yes.
potential clients?
All the time. So what do you think?
So I was going to ask you, you think it's a worth issue? You think it's a woman thinking that they don't deserve it? Or
I think so. I think, and not only that, is about and I'm Wonder Woman for everybody that wants to know, is that I can do it all on my own. Colleen, you had a very successful career. You're a very smart woman. And you just told me how much of a challenge this situation was for you. And that, I know, is something that is very vulnerable for us to say, I need help because I'm dealing with so much that I need someone to hold my hand. We think as women that we can do it all and that we have to do it all. Like we are required to do all this perfectly while we're going through a divorce, and still don't have a good understanding of what we need in order to thrive, and that we can and deserve an investment in ourselves. And I see that so much, and I don't know why or how, or if there's a way around it.
I wonder if the issue is that they don't see it as an investment in themselves, hiring you. They don't see hiring you as an investment in themselves. They just see it as another check to write when they're already giving gobs of money to an attorney, right? That's the problem. They see it like that. But if they can understand a woman, you said you don't have a problem with the male clients don't seem to do that. But if they can look at it as it truly is an investment in oneself, like a gym membership is, like,
right.
When we do things like that's an investment in yourself. It's when people hire someone as a coach to be their coach, it's the same kind of thing. That is an investment in yourself. And really, when I know, when it comes to money and divorce, you do need the right team and you need experts, not just what your friend's brother told you to do. You need experts who really get this and do this and breathe this day in and day out, and not look at it as it's just, oh my God, it's just costing so much money. I know it can feel that way, but really, if anyone is hearing this right now, hearing my voice, hearing our conversation, if you are a woman and you are facing divorce, because now you know that Gabriella exists, that this position exists, that there are people out there in the world doing this thing, I do know it's worth a conversation. I do know it's worth a consultation with you to figure out if this is a fit for you. You may decide it's not, right? But not to be so quick to poo-poo it and think it's just another bill. Oh my gosh. Because I think you made a very good point earlier about, attorneys are experts in law, not finances.
No.
And I just thought attorneys are experts in all of the things when it comes to the divorce. They know what's best for everybody. No, that's not the truth. I get that now. So yes, it would have helped me so much to have had you by my side during this time.
Yeah. And I think, and you're right. And it may be that is another expense. And you were so overwhelmed yourself that you wanted to be done with it. Like you reached, and I know that everyone reaches that point. Is like, you know what? Forget it. And I always tell my clients, do not. We're not. You're not giving up. Because,
keep telling them that. Yeah.
Because you're going to regret it.
Yeah.
And then you're going to regret it. And then you're going to make peace with it, right? Because you can go back in time. We cannot do anything about it. But you're always going to leave on some level inside you. It's going to be like, oh my God, what if? What if I had asked another question, asked for another document, work a little bit longer? I think that is part of the issue. And the other portion of this is, I believe, is everyone wants to help women. Everyone is a fan of helping women. And I do know that a lot of people we're doing that because we really want to do it. And a lot of other professionals don't quite want to do it because of that reason. And I think that is also something that comes to us with women and say, wait a minute. I mean, do I really need this? Do I have to do that? And I'll be honest with you. I have a lot of attorneys that have said to my clients, you don't need her. I can help you with this.
I'm not surprised to hear that.
Oh, yeah. Listen, something last week, I lost another client and said, no, my attorney said, I don't need you. And I'm like, what? We're talking about a business owner, a business that I think, for what I was able to just gather, is going to be in the $10, $11 million business for the division. And the attorney told them, they don't need me. And I told them, I said, call me in 6 months. I want you to please call me and tell me what's going on in 6 months. Because what's going to happen is the attorneys for this cases, they do usually have some kind of experts, right? They do have the business evaluator or the person that comes and looks into income and expenses. None of those experts work with you. And that is the difference with me. And I always tell everyone, I work with my client. I'm going to work with the attorney. I'm going to have a strategy to help the attorney strategy on the legal side. But I want to work with my client because I need my client to understand what they're doing. Why are these questions being asked? Mm-hmm. Let's analyze the responses, and then let's try to make decisions with my client. And you're right, because everyone believes that the attorney is the one that knows it all. Everyone believes what the attorney says without considering, why am I getting this advice?
Here's something I know for sure. I'll just tell you this.
Please.
I know that I left money on the table, that I did not get what I should have gotten. I do know this now. And I deeply regret that. It's not about screwing my ex-husband over. It's not about that. It is for my protection, for my financial future, and what that looks like for me now as a single person. I thought it was going to be one way. Now it's me on my own. And I do deeply regret that I walked away from money, and it still gets me sometimes. He just bought a beautiful home up near Lake Norman with the little baby girlfriend and gorgeous house. You don't think that stings me a little bit? And I know that I have to get over it, right? I do know I can't walk around carrying that. But there's a part of me that I think that I didn't get. It sounds so petty. It sounds petty and childish the way I'm saying it.
No.
I wish I could say this more eloquently, but there is this part of me that believes, he has a lot more than I do, right? And we were married, we were together for 23 years. How am I in the situation I am in now? And it's because I didn't have you asking me questions and producing certain documents and digging deeper. And because I fatigued, I got tired, I got overwhelmed, and I just said, fine, I just want it to be done. And I regret that. And so that's what I want people to know. If you are in this situation, like, buckle in for the bumpy ride it's going to be, but go the long haul, go the distance. Don't give up because you just get tired. You have to keep going for your own benefit.
And what you deserve.
Yes.
Because it's not really being petty. It's what you deserve.
Thank you. That's a better way of saying it. It's not, you have that and I don't, and I'm renting an apartment and you're in a big, pretty house. It's not that. It's wait a minute. I allowed him to be able to do what he did in his career. My support of him financially is what got him to where he is.
Exactly.
And now the way I view it is that this other woman is reaping the benefits of that and I got nothing from it.
I know. And it sounds petty. And I understand. If you say that to someone else that doesn't understand what this world looks like, they're going to be like, oh, come on, Colleen.
Right.
Like, just go work and make your own money.
Exactly.
Right? Like,
which I am doing, right?
We know
but you're so right.
That's how it works. But it is like you help someone get there. So it doesn't matter which way you're in this coin. If you're the one that was helped to get there, you have a little bit of an obligation to help this person be on equal ground as you guys are going in different directions.
Yes.
That's basically what it is. And it's about what you deserve. And you would deserve to fight for what you deserve. Like literally.
Right.
You deserve that.
I know. I remember my ex-husband saying to me, well, what if you just keep the house and you get the money from the house and then that seems pretty good. I said, oh, right. Okay. Again, this is when I didn't have an attorney and we're trying to work with the mediator. Yeah. And that's because Sneaky Liar Pants was doing whatever the hell he was doing. I know there was more money that I never discovered.
Of course.
He just thought, oh, that'll make her happy. She can keep the house and she needs the cash. She can sell it and then she's got it. And
that's it.
Yeah. Right.
And let's move on.
Right.
Because he didn't want you to dig.
He didn't want me to dig. And I never did. And I know people, again, hear this and probably think, oh, God, Colleen, you're stupid. And
no, because the people are saying that are not in your situation. The people that are going through that situation understand 150% what you're saying because you're living it right now. They just need someone to tell them, hey, I was there. I did it. Don't do it. Because those are the people that you should listen to, not the ones on Facebook that are trying to tell you what it could happen or what happened to the neighbor cousins,
Correct.
Whatever.
Correct.
So I know we're running out of time because, the person right here is like this. She wants me to end, and we could talk all day long and I will love to have this conversation, but I have one more questions to finish this. So we talk about a lot of things. I know you process a lot of your emotions and the finances and the creating a new life, which, by the way, you're okay, right? Because that's the other thing. There's life after. Oh, yes. It's hard, but it's life and it's good. It's a good life, right?
It's so good. It's so good. Yes.
So knowing what you know now, if you could back in time, we have a machine and I'm going to send you back to a week before everything went down the hill and you heard those words, what would you whisper to yourself back then and there that you wish that you knew or somebody would have whispered that in your ear? Let's give my audience that little bit of a whisper, the ones that really need it right now. What would be that one thing that you would want you to have heard back then?
I would have liked to have heard, you are worthy, you are lovable, you are worth it. A new day will dawn. The sun will rise again. You're stronger than you think you are. One foot in front of the other. I know, again, not knowing what was coming, but just to hang on to my inherent value as a human being, which we all have, by the way. Every single one of us has it. We are born with that. And because when the D-Day happened, when he told me he wanted a divorce, I felt so rejected. And I felt tossed out like the garbage. I really did. I felt very discarded by him and some couples friends we had. I felt discarded. So I think I needed to hear a voice of, you are okay and you are lovable and you're amazing and you're worthy of all the good things in life. You are worthy of that. So don't tolerate less than that. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense. And what I would add is you cannot let this situation define you. And a lot of the times we do that, right? We go through this process and we lie to this defined us. And that's why we think we don't deserve it. We don't want to go look and dig in. We don't want any more. We want to be over because we're letting that particular situation define us, whether we wanted this or not. Because even when someone makes this decision, it can be very, very hard and daunting.
Of course. I
If
think
you're
it's
the
hard for
one
the
making
person
the
who decided to
decision.
leave. Yes, I agree with that.
And you're breaking somebody's heart. But I think that you cannot let that to define you. And you're right. You're lovable. You deserve it. And you deserve to fight for yourself. And I think that's the other part. You're going through this conflict. You cannot forget that you're the only one that is going to defend you in this situation. And as much as I see amicable situations, you cannot assume that the other person was best for you. You are the one that wants what's best for you. And that's the person you have to trust, but you had to have the information, because you can only make as good as as good as decisions as the information you have.
Mm-hmm.
So the more information, and even if when you go digging, nothing is there, great. Now you know, okay, this was it. I'm going to do it. And that's it. Okay, great. It's worth it to know the answers rather than always being guessing.
I had no information. I had a big old empty Word doc is what I had. I had no information. It was blank page, blank white space page is what I had.
I love that at least we can put this experience out there for those that are going to come and they don't have the experience yet. And they know that, first of all, yes, you could do it a certain way, you'll be okay, but you could be better maybe if you go and find the right person, the right professionals, the right team, and you accept and understand that you deserve it, because you cannot make good decisions without the right information.
That's right.
It's like my motto. And call me first. Don't call the attorney. That will be the end. Thank you so much, Colleen. I'm hoping, I know that someone out there is listening to you, is listening to this, and they're understanding that, again, it doesn't have to be me, but there's some other CDFAs out there. I may not be a good fit, but there's one out there. Don't do it without one. Like, that would be the same way that people say, don't do it without an attorney. Don't do it without a CDFA. And by the way, we're cost efficient. You will save money in attorney's fees when you work with someone like us. So that is something that also should take into consideration. The right person doing what they're qualified to do saves you money.
If I could turn back time, I would turn back time and I would have called you first, girl. I would have called you Wonder Woman. I would have called you.
I love it.
I would have.
I love it. Thank you so much, Colleen, for being vulnerable, putting this out there, and help me help.
Don't let them take all your money, and don't give up what's yours. Call Gabriella. Yes.
Call me. Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope that you learned something. I know you did. If you're not going through this process, please share this with someone that can really use Colleen's story and her wisdom, because the more information we have, the best decisions we make. Thank you. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. If you're going through a separation or divorce, please contact me through my website at everafterwealth.com. I would love to be a resource and partner as you navigate this season and prepare for your financial future. I'll see you in the next episode.